The real narcissists are a totally different genre of being. Narcissists are in between animal and human alien. They're a whole category, hence the lack of empathy, the psychopathy, pedophilia. They're able to operate in a way that about half the population just can't do that. They can't do that. They can because it's a different genre of being, and they're essential in terms of creating enough disharmony that all of us have to go within to evolve ourself. So they're actually here to cause disharmony and soak up the matrix so everyone else can go within, liberate themselves, and move on and ascend the frequency. So that's part of, instead of me going on, that's part of the teachings of what I see when I look at a narcissist. It's literally a different genre of being. Yeah, well, I try never to, I don't give a humanistic interpretation or presentation of what it is that I experience tangibly, right? And the whole key or point of me being here is to not offer a humanistic perspective, but to offer a higher consciousness, enlightened perspective of things. So I don't have the standard DSM-3 definition of narcissist, right? But I can tell you what's really going on once we pierce into the veil of wisdom. So a true narcissist, okay, is not the same as you or me or about roughly about half the population. So how I describe it is, we talked about the I am, right? Okay, it's a totally different genre of being. The real narcissists are a totally different genre of being. And instead of me doing that whole teaching, the short version of it is we are projections of our higher self, right? Okay. So there's billions of higher selves, and there's different genres of higher selves. The higher selves it's all based upon how sentient they are, and sentience and energy is in a 1-to-1 ratio. So certain higher selves project pieces of themselves based upon their own evolution, and then the physical suit matches up with their level of sentience and energy. So all that to being said is narcissists are in between animal and human alien. They're actually a whole category. They're a whole category, hence the lack of empathy, the psychopathy, pedophilia. They're able to operate in a way that about half the population just can't do that. They can't do that. They can because it's a different genre of being. It's literally a different genre of being, just above the higher selves that project pieces of themselves into the physical suit that we would call an animal. Just above that, and beneath the genre of higher selves that typically project aspects of themselves into the vehicles that we would call human or alien. And this is when we start to really see this, it becomes rather obvious, and it brings together so much of the, I'll just call it humanistic information that we have about them. It is a different genre of being with a different amount and quality of sentience, which allows them to operate in the way that they operate. And they're essential in terms of creating enough disharmony that all of us have to go within to evolve ourself. So they're actually here to cause disharmony and soak up the matrix so everyone else can go within, liberate themselves, and move on and ascend the frequency. So that's part of, instead of me going on, that's part of the teachings of what I see when I look at a narcissist. It's literally a different genre of being.
Now, there must be evolutionary tension, Peter, right? And so hence, like growing up with narcissists or being in a lifelong relationship with a narcissist, et cetera, right? Or both. The evolutionary tension that's put upon you forces you to go within and wake up and transcend the so-called outer reality. Without the evolutionary tension, without our friends, the narcissists, that's what I said, without our friends, the narcissists, would we be working this hard on ourselves? Would we have to go in and change your mind and do all these things? Would we even have to do that? No. Then are we healing our lineage? No. Are we actually going to ascend the frequencies? No. We must have evolutionary tension, right? How is a diamond formed? Immense pressure on carbon for millions and millions of years. And then look what's actually in there. Same with us. Narcissists, in terms of sentience, right, which is what we really are, sentience and energy, they're a notch above animal, and they're a notch below. There's no such thing as average, but notch below average human. It's not the right word, but words are limiting. Okay, so they are. It's a one-time deal. They're not in the evolutionary cycle through incarnation. Everything else is. Everything else is. This is a one-time deal. This is a phenomena to literally help with ascension. Okay, so they do not possess the same amount of sentience as you, or and they are playing a very specific role. Okay, they're here to soak up what I call the matrix, whatever word you want to use. They're here to soak up the matrix so the rest of us can move on. Because there always has to be a balance and an equilibrium. Okay, think of high school. It's not all seniors. It's not all freshmen, right? Freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. There is a perpetual equilibrium. Nothing is ever out of balance. To the ego mind, there is, but that's not accurate. So they are actually here, get ready, on a mission of mercy. They are actually here to get so engrossed and engulfed in the physicality of things, in materialism. They don't have the sentience to be detached. That's not their role. Their role here is to get engrossed in all of this and to engender a dark night of the soul. For many people that are having their grand awakening, which sounds like you, by the way, that are having their grand awakening as they awaken to who and what they really are, this was engendered by the mission of mercy by narcissists, because only a narcissist can do that. Only a narcissist can cause that kind of havoc, chaos, pain, the insidious nature in the way that they operate, because they don't have empathy. But they were designed that way to play a very specific role. Now, this has never, from my perspective, which is bizarre, but from my perspective, Peter, this has never occurred before. Now, to anchor what is happening, there's been more narcissists projected into our version of Earth than ever before, and they're only doing it as a one-time gig. They're not in the evolutionary cycle through incarnation. They're not going to keep coming back. It's one time. So they're here to soak up all the nonsense. Well, to them it's not nonsense, but they're here to soak up all the matrix. They're here to soak up the matrix, and they're here to engender the dark night of the soul. So we are forced into our awakening, and they're here to actually balance the scale so everyone else can move on. So to me, when I step back and look at this is what this looks like to me. And this is the dynamic between this. 12% are here to serve, 12% are here to wake up. About 16% are trying to figure it out, and the other 60% are causing enough mayhem to engender a dark night of the soul and soak up the matrix. So the rest of those, if they all want to leave here and move on, they can. So this is a completely different understanding of narcissism. Now, all the different labels of narcissism, there's many labels of narcissism. Okay, it just has to do with disconnection from the self and the quality and the amount of sentience in there. I mean, we can call it, I don't even know the terms, to be honest, malignant, covert, and all this, all this kind of stuff. And a lot of people have done some good work on it for sure, but that's downstream. So what we're really talking about is the sentience that's in there, and then their level of disconnection from that. And then we give them these things downstream, all these different names. Oh, malignant, oh, covert, and I don't even know the names, to be honest. I really don't know. So, but I like to work at the center of things, right at the core of things, at the miracle machine, as I like to say. So it just has to do with the level of sentience, the quality of sentience, and how disconnected they actually are from that. But they are literally here on a mission of mercy. Now, if you ask them that, they would have no clue. Obviously, right? They would have no clue. Well, they don't have a clue about anything, to tell you the truth, right? So, but this is really why they're here. And it's the opposite. Everything here is the opposite. It's the opposite of how people think and behave and act. We wouldn't be able to ascend without the narcissists, because there has to be the anchor. there has to be the equilibrium, Peter. If we, in theory, doesn't it sound great? We all ascend the frequencies. There's my little, you can see it back there. Ascend the frequencies.
I love it.
We all ascend the frequencies, right? We skyrocket up. Sounds great, right? No. Because if we did this, we would then quickly do this. Okay, a reversion to the mean. It won't work. I promise it won't work. So what does work is a slow, steady ascension up the frequencies. That can be maintained. And in order for that to happen, there has to be an anchor. The anchor are the narcissists. And not only are they anchoring that to make sure there's just slow and steady, they're also causing enough, I don't like using the word suffering because that's an illusion, but I'll use the word suffering. They cause enough suffering to engender people going within themselves, and they must awaken themselves to escape the tyranny of the egoic mind. So they're playing an absolutely vital role here. Ascension wouldn't happen without narcissists. So I want everyone to start to see these things differently. Because remember, whoever you hold in darkness, you are holding yourself in darkness. So every time we judge someone, we're actually harming ourselves. There's a collapse of the consciousness and a constriction of energy every time you judge someone. So when you judge someone, you're actually harming yourself. The metaphysics that's happening is that you're harming yourself. So no longer hold anyone in darkness and realize that everything serves its purpose. And for the most part, the purposes that is being served is so far beyond body consciousness and the intellect that we shouldn't even bother venturing a guess. Because we're from my perspective, we're nowhere near accurate as to what is really going on. It's a phenomenon that I've never seen before. And it's a phenomenon that I've never seen before. What's going on right now? It's absolutely essential.
Can you tell me why that 12% of volunteers would choose these types of people as parents?
Well, the challenge, the growth. So as you know, I like to use silly analogies. So I'll use a silly analogy I've used before. They're amusing and they're helpful. So think of like the Olympics, the high diving, they go, okay. Now, if someone does a swan dive perfectly, flawlessly, right? You don't get a 10. Why? It's too easy, right? No degree of difficulty. It's a swan dive. Hey, they did it great, but that's easy. Okay. Someone else gets up there, triple backwards, reverse somersault, whatever those are called, right? And they do it really well, not perfect, really well. 9, maybe a 9.5. Why? Degree of difficulty. Okay. It's the same thing. It's the same thing, Peter. Anyone who knows a narcissist, grew up with a narcissist, their mom, their dad, their sister, their brother, their whole family, which can happen too, right? Okay. It's because you're giving yourself the highest degree of difficulty because the reward is greatest. Now, when I talk about reward, I want to be specific about what I'm really talking about. The reward is always the deepening of the reservoir of our love and wisdom. That is always and that is sentience. And that is what evolution actually is. The deepening of the reservoir of our love and wisdom. And to put ourselves, by doing the triple backwards somersault, family and narcissist, that the potential for the deepening of our reservoir of our love and wisdom, because it's so difficult, is astronomical. Now, think about it too this way. If we sat on our couch all day, did nothing, no challenges, no obstacles, there's no evolution. Okay? The ego mind identity would love that, but you're not the ego mind identity. The soul wants challenges so it can evolve, so it can grow, so it can deepen its eternal reservoir of love and wisdom. That is the whole point of this. And when we work, from my perspective, when we work with ourselves in this way that I'm talking about, the way the book lays out and all these other books are going to lay out, we are operating optimally. We're evolving our consciousness with the greatest efficacy possible. And frankly, I am obsessed with the efficacy of the evolution of consciousness. And I got news for you. So is God. God is obsessed with the evolution of its creations. This is the point. This is the whole point, right? So this is why it's okay. I won't go into that. So God feels the same way, I promise, and I feel the same way. And this is why I'm so crazy about the work that I do, because it changes everything for everybody. So We incarnate in these difficult circumstances, Peter, because there's growth there. And if we didn't incarnate if there was no challenge, no obstacle, where's the evolution, right? And the only mandate of existence is to know thyself and all thy infinite potential. So if we're just sitting on a couch and it's easy, there's no evolution. It doesn't happen that way. So you like a good challenge. I like a good challenge. Pretty much everybody here likes a good challenge. And that's really the point, because that's where the evolution and the growth comes from. So if we think of a narcissist, right? Let's say this is how much water a narcissist as a vessel could hold, how much sentience they actually have, right? Okay. You can't pour a gallon of water in there. They can't handle it. Literally. So you have much more evolved souls trying to communicate on a deep level with someone that just can't do it. It's not that they're not even not trying. They can't do it. You can't pour a gallon of water into that. You could try. You can't pour a gallon of water. You can't hold it. They can't do it. They can't hold it. They can't hold the frequency. They can't hold the space. They don't have the empathy. They don't have the depth. It's not a shortcoming. They were created specifically to serve this role. They're actually perfect as they are, as much as that hurts to hear. They're actually perfect as they are. So the pain is that we can't connect. We can't get the empathy. We can't get the forgiveness. We can't get the love. We can't get the compassion, the tenderness, the kindness, because it's not there, right? You don't go to your dog to discuss Play-Doh, probably, right? Oh, I want to talk about the, right? Well, good luck with that. It's not going to happen. So it's the same thing with trying to have a heartfelt discussion with a narcissist. You're talking to the wrong soul. And again, this is why it's so arduous, painful, and makes people suicidal. Like I said, I'm so sorry you went through that. Sorry, everyone goes through that, but everyone is going to be okay, I promise. But that's what it's like, Peter. It's just not there. And no matter how hard you try, you actually get more and more frustrated. If there's no water, stop going to the well. Stop. Right? You're not going to get satiated. It's never going to happen. The well has run dry. Okay? Regret and forget. Move on. But that's why it's so difficult, because they literally lack. We're not in resonance, and we're not supposed to be in resonance. But that's why it's so arduous. The compassion, the level of sentience is just not there.
For those of us who grew up in dysfunction, were raised by narcissists, okay? We can't imagine who on earth would ever choose to incarnate into that type of situation and choose to be rampantly abused and devalued and put out. But at the same time, I'm going to ask you two questions. At the same time, first of all, did we really do that? Did we really choose these people? Are they young souls? Is it really one time that they're going around? Are they going to come back? What's going to happen to our parents? I mean, what are we going to see them again? Are they going to evolve to a higher consciousness, or what's the situation with the narcissist?
Okay, that's a great question. Okay, so now my definition of a narcissist is probably very different from everyone else's definition. So we talk about narcissistic traits, narcissistic qualities. From that humanistic perspective, everyone is a narcissist on some level. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about seeing past the veil of five physical senses, and I'm talking about this is a genre of beings that are here for a very specific purpose, and essentially they're here to cause as much disharmony as possible, to anchor in the rest of us transitioning. Now, what must to ascend the frequencies? Now, there must be evolutionary tension, Peter. Right. And so hence, like growing up with narcissists or being in a lifelong relationship with a narcissist, et cetera, right? Or both. The evolutionary tension that's put upon you forces you to go within and wake up and transcend the so-called outer reality. Without the evolutionary tension, without our friends, the narcissists, that's what I said, without our friends, the narcissists, would we be working this hard on ourselves? Would we have to go in and change your mind and do all these things? Would we even have to do that? No. Then are we healing our lineage? No. Are we actually going to ascend the frequencies? No. We must have evolutionary tension, right? How is a diamond formed? Immense pressure on carbon for millions and millions of years. And then look what's actually in there. Same with us. That's actually what we are, perfection, absolute perfection. But without evolutionary tension, we won't be motivated. It won't become a necessity to do this kind of work on ourselves. So they are here, as crazy as this sounds, they're here on a mission of mercy. They were created by a genre of higher selves, okay, and without me going on and on, well, whatever, right? So there's several different genres of higher selves, and I think we talked about this, but the higher selves that project pieces of themselves or aspects, what we call a soul, that incarnate in animal form, and then the next level up are the higher selves, and it's a one-time thing for ascension. The higher selves, there's another genre of higher selves that sit a little bit higher within the multiverse that project pieces of themselves, and these are the narcissists. They're a step above the sentient, the level of sentience that's within the physical vehicle. That would be a cat, a dog, a bird, whatever. Then we have the narcissists. And then after that, there's another genre of higher self that sits a little higher because it's based upon sentience. Sits a little higher within the multiverse, the aspects of the souls that it projects. The physical vehicle that it incarnates into are humans or aliens. So they're only doing this. This is one time. They're not evolving through the evolutionary cycle. This is a unique moment, which is why there's so much disharmony here, because it's forcing us to go within in order to ascend the frequencies. It's all designed meticulously and from a level of understanding that is so far beyond the human mind. We can't understand these things with the human mind. We're not meant to understand these things with the human mind. We're meant to experience these things tangibly through higher states of consciousness and communion. And that is the only way these things can be experienced. The logic and linearity program of the subconscious pattern mind will never allow you access to these understandings. So, and that's why I write these books, so people then have the tools to do this. Narcissists are essential. Every challenge, every obstacle that we ever experience, and I mean this, we should be so thankful, because that's where the growth comes from. The challenge. And there is nobody more challenging than a narcissist. And that is their role, and it's absolutely necessary.
Incredible. I know when people hear that, they want to come out of their skin. I certainly did. It took me a while. But then when I considered the question, would I be sitting in front of you now? Would this show even exist? Would I be deprogramming my subconscious mind and healing myself and healing my ancestry, and therefore contributing massively to the ascension of humanity? Would any of that happen without the evolutionary tension created by the absolute misery created by all the narcissists that I've been around my whole life, and to be honest, to very much have loved, despite all the misery they've caused me, because they put me in this situation. And I'd be useful to you guys if I hadn't undergone all that evolutionary tension, right? So one more question about the narcissist, then we'll move on, because I'm the #1 search view term on our channel right now is RJ Spina, narcissist. Everyone wants to know about your higher consciousness perspective about these people, because it's a freaking epidemic right now, right? For those of us who do love narcissists, you say it's a one-time thing. Is that higher self going to evolve? Or are we going to see them again, or what's the situation with them?
Yeah, okay, that's a great question. So when we're locked into what I call body consciousness, right, logic and linearity, we think that this is it, right? We also think that this reality is it, because we would have to go beyond physical sensory perception or body consciousness to start to experience the things that we're talking about. Now, most of us don't do that, so therefore, this is the only reality that exists. When that's that nothing could be further from the truth. Okay, now evolution itself, right? The mandate of existence is to know thyself and all thy infinite potential, and that's the only mandate there is. That's it. Now, from the human perspective, we don't understand, and we seem to assume that the only way to evolve is through incarnation. That is, nothing could be further from the truth. That is absolutely not accurate. It's one way to evolve consciousness itself. It's one of the more challenging ways to do it. And because it's more challenging, it portends the greatest evolution of consciousness. Like the analogy I use, you do a swan dive, no big deal, 7.5. You do a triple backward somersault, you don't nail it, that's a 9.5. Evolving through incarnation is extremely challenging. The risk reward factor is there. We can skyrocket in terms, send the frequencies. We can skyrocket in terms of our evolution because it's so difficult. But the higher selves that are projecting aspects of themselves that are incarnate now as what we would call a narcissist, there is a billion, probably more, a billion other ways that consciousness can evolve. It doesn't necessarily have to be through incarnation. In fact, most consciousness is not evolved through incarnation. I think we talked about this in class. It is my understanding that only 12% of existence itself that have been creations, only 12% actually ever incarnate. The other 88% of God's creations never incarnate. Now, that other 88% is always evolving as well. Always. They're doing it not through incarnation. So the higher selves and the aspects that were projected that are narcissists, of course they're going to evolve. It is my understanding that they're not going to evolve through incarnation, and that's probably where the difference lies.
Now, you say existence, thank you for that. That's, by the way, is this a higher consciousness understanding? No matter how many times I talk to you, go through your courses, you're my teacher, have contact with you, every single time we talk, it blows my mind. It takes me to another level. This is the kind of stuff that you guys can expect when going through one of Master Arts classes, right? And those links to those classes will be in the description below. Don't miss any chance you have to work with this timeless teacher of humanity, the teacher of the 144.
Hello, RJ. I have family members who are narcissists. I am literally dreading the upcoming holiday season. I can't get out of the family gatherings, and I am already totally stressed out and agitated. What is the best way to handle them when everything they say and do is toxic, manipulative, and judgmental towards me? Thanks so much for your answer, and I will be binge watching your videos throughout the holidays to keep sane. Sierra. Okay, Sierra. Thank you so much for the question. All right. Narcissism. So I'll briefly explain, and maybe at some point I'll go into much greater detail about narcissism, how it's formed, why it even exists, and so on and so forth. But for now, we could just look at narcissism as sort of the opposite of self-realization. So it is the complete disengagement from the true self, or the I am, or the sentience, which is really love and wisdom, and whose subsets are talents and abilities. And so when we have a narcissistic experience, or if someone is a narcissist, they are disconnected from those aspects of what they really are, which is why they are capable of highly destructive behavior towards others. So it's just think of it for now as the opposite of self-realization. Okay. And it occurs for a variety of reasons, by the way. And maybe I will do just a whole video on narcissism at some point. Okay. So how to best deal with family members that exhibit those traits. Okay. The first thing to realize is that every single notion, every word that we say, every emotion, every physical action that we take and express is really just the reflection of ourself outwardly. Okay, so the analogy that I've used before is when you play cards, right? Everyone holds their cards up so other people can't see them, right? So when you express yourself, what you're really doing is revealing your cards. You're revealing your beliefs, your fears, your wants, your desires, your expectations, your ruminations. So anything anyone says or does, or in any way that they express themselves, they are expressing them. They're showing you their cards. It actually has nothing to do with you. Judgment says everything about the one doing the judging and nothing about what is being judged. So that will take hopefully, that will take the bite or the sting or the hurt out of that situation, to know that whatever they're expressing is what they have buried within them. Okay? It has nothing to do with you. Even if it's directed at you, it's about them. And so, on top of that, just stay in pure observation mode and know that what you really are, your sentience, your I am, is completely untouched and unaffected by really what goes on here. The body-mind is certainly affected. The body-mind is part of and attuned to the local environment. But what you are is beyond that. So it doesn't really matter from that perspective what goes on with your body-mind, what the five senses are able to perceive. It really doesn't have anything to do with you. You are untouched by everything here. You are immortal, divine, not lacking anything. So remember, if it gets difficult during the holidays, and it often can be, just know that they are revealing themselves. It has nothing to do with you. It's only your ego mind that takes things personally. And know that what you really are is completely untouched, unscathed by whatever goes on here. And just stay in observer mode. And don't let yourself get dragged into, we'll say, defending yourself or justifying yourself. I used to say it all the time. People would give their opinion about this or about that. I would just say, well, that's one way to look at it. That's it. I didn't touch anything after that whatsoever. And that statement, that's one way to look at it. That gives them their valid in their opinion. That's their opinion. And that singular perspective is valid because it's theirs. But you're also implying that that's not yours. And that it's okay. That is one way to look at it. I hope that helps. Enjoy your holiday no matter what. And remember, stay connected, stay present to what you really are. And just watch what happens. And also know that everyone and everything at the core is the same. It's that same love and wisdom. Some are just disconnected from it. That's all. I hope that's helpful. And enjoy your holidays. Be well, everybody. I'll see you soon. Hi, everyone. I want to talk briefly about detachment and how important it is and how to be able to do it. With the holidays upon us, I know we just had Thanksgiving, but with Christmas and the New Year's, we are often around our family, our relatives, and this can cause great anxiety and stress for some of us, maybe even depression. It brings up a whole bunch of identifications. And doesn't it always just seem like our family members know just how to push our buttons like nobody else, right? Okay. All right. So let's look at what's really going on metaphysically and how to sort of transcend this and have a really wonderful holiday with your family and your relatives. And I don't want you to be concerned about getting stressed out or getting angry or getting depressed about being around your biological family. Okay, so let's start off with a ridiculous analogy, because as a lot of you know, I love analogies, and the more ridiculous the analogy, the more I like it. Okay, so we've all played cards, right? Probably. Okay, so we got our cards, right, like this, and we hold them up so no one can see what cards we're holding, what we have inside, so no one can see it. So we hold our cards up, right? Okay. Now, anytime anyone ever expresses themselves verbally, emotionally, or physically, what is happening, and the only thing that is happening, is that person is simply revealing their own cards. They are revealing their beliefs, their concepts, their ideologies, their identifications, their fears, their wants. These things literally have absolutely nothing to do with you. Absolutely nothing. They are simply revealing their cards. And at this level of, we'll say, metaphysics, unless we are aware of this level of metaphysics, often there is really no delineation between projection and accusation. We can't tell the difference between these two things. An awakened mind can, the unawakened mind cannot. So I want you to realize that's all that's ever happening. When your uncle or your grandmother or your mom and dad that you haven't seen, whoever, just starts revealing all their cards and projecting that at you, just know what's really happening. That's their inside world. Those are the cards they're holding. Those are their beliefs, their fears, their wants, their concepts, their limitations, their shoulds and their should nots. And all they're doing is projecting that onto you, often in the form of an accusation. Okay, so now that we know this, there is really no reason to get all caught up in someone else's cards. They don't have anything to do with you. They never have. You have simply identified with them and said yes. Now you know better. Now you don't have to. So let everyone play their cards. You're not going to be able to stop them anyway, right? So don't bother. So just let them play their cards and just watch. And when something is projected at you directly in front of everyone at the table, right? I can tell you what I used to say. I would simply reply, "Oh, that's one way to look at it." And that's it. That's all I would say. That's one way to look at it. Now you're giving them permission to have their beliefs, their concepts, their ideologies, and in a very pleasant but yet strong way, you're simply stating that's not how you see it. And that's okay. You see it differently. They see it that way. That's all fine. So I want you to enjoy the holidays. I want you to enjoy Christmas. I want you to enjoy New Year's. Most importantly, I want you to enjoy the self, yourself. So today, I want to talk about, from my perspective, what is literally the deadliest poison that you could ever put within your body of energy, your consciousness, and your physical body. The deadliest poison. And that is self-pity. Self-pity. So this is also just a wonderful opportunity for me to explain this, but at the same time to bring out my prop for the world's tiniest little violin that we're playing for ourselves. Okay, I've been dying to use this, so now I just did. Okay, so let me put that down. All right, self-pity. Okay, why is this metaphysically the deadliest poison that we could ever ingest? Self-ingest, by the way, right? Okay, so the truth is that we are immortal. Okay, we are an energy being, right? We are formless. There is nothing to us. This is a suit. This is not us, okay? We are immortal. And we are a limitless creator being. So let's look at this. We are immortal and we are limitless. What would be the total and complete inversion and perversion of that? Self-pity. I don't want to have to get my violin again. Okay. So this is the absolute worst thing that we can ever do for ourselves, is to feel sorry for ourselves. Because I said, think about what is really possible for us. Anything. Anything. For us to take the Holy Ghost, this infinite life force that never ends, and invert it and pervert it into ultimate feeling sorry for yourself when there's literally nothing that you can't do. So self-pity is literally the deadliest poison. There's no reason for it, ever. Okay? If we're in a difficult situation, a challenging situation, on any level, personal, professional, family, doesn't matter what it is, okay? A great way to get yourself going is to literally pretend that you just arrived here. No past, no future. And start fresh. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start over. And focus your desire and intention to exactly what it is that you want to do and where it is that you want to go, and never, ever alter that GPS. Okay? Starting today, make self-pity forever outside of your vocabulary, forever outside of your experience, whether in this incarnation or any other incarnation. It is literally the deadliest poison. It sends the absolute worst possible message to the universe, to God, however you want to say it. Being an immortal creator being and feeling sorry for yourself. Toxic. It's literally the worst thing. And completely unnecessary. Okay? So, as I said, the remedy, pretend you just arrived here, no past, no future. Get yourself centered. Start fresh. Start over. Start right now. Okay? You are an immortal creator being. Live that way. Behave that way. Act that way. Think that way. And leave self-pity behind. Forever. Otherwise, I have to do another video where I get out my little violin again. Okay. I wish you all well, and I'll see you all very soon.